Now that we've talked about graphing lines, I'd like to talk about an important feature of these equations, and that is slope. So here we have a line, it's already graphed for us. Slope is a number that tells you if you start at one point on your graph, how are you traveling to another point on that graph? Like here, this line is moving upward. Well, how much is it moving up? So slope, denoted by the letter m, has this equation. I'd like to use this equation to determine the slope of this line and then talk about what that means on the actual graph itself. So here we have 2 points. I'm going to write those off to the side. So the point that is in blue is 1, 3, so I'll write that down. And the point here that is in green, that is 3, 7, so I'll write that down as well. This formula over here requires that you use 2 points. There are 2 different y values, y2 minus y1, and over here I have 2 different y values. And we need 2 different x values, x2 and x1, and I have those here as well. So I'm going to label these points. I'm going to call this first one x1, y1, and the second one here, x2, y2. I'm basically just saying, okay, this is my first point, that's what the subscripts 1 represent, and this is my second point, which is what the subscripts 2 represent. If I go over to this formula, m, the slope is equal to, okay, it's y2 minus y1, so that is 7 minus 3, divided by x2 minus x1, which is 3 minus 1. And this number here is what we call the slope. Of course, I want to simplify it a little bit. Let's see, 7 minus 3 is 4. 3 minus 1 is 2. I could write this as 2 over 1, or really just simply 2. Slope is often referred to as the rise over the run. Like here, I wrote slope as a fraction. It tells you that if you start at a particular point on the graph, if we go over 1 and up 2, we end up on the line again. So the rise would be, oh, we went up 2, and the run is we went over 1. So over 1, up 2, over 1, up 2, over 1, up 2. This holds for every point that you choose on the graph. So this is what slope tells you. It tells you that if you start at a particular point, how far you go over and then up will take you back to another point on the line. So let's try this again in a second example. So again, I want to find the slope of this line. I'm going to jot down the 2 points. The blue point, that looks like that is negative 4, 4, because we'd have to go left 4 and up 4. The other point, the one that's green, that looks to be 8, negative 2. So that is, you would go over 8 and down 2. I think I'll label these again. This is x1, y1, and this is x2, y2. And the formula we had for slope was y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Now, if that whole rise over run idea made sense, you really could probably just look at your graph and say, well, how far did I go over and how far did I go down? And then you could just like divide those numbers in the correct way. But, you know, really just to go back to this formula, let's see. We have that the slope is y2 minus y1. So that is negative 2 minus 4. And then we have x2 minus x1. I want to be careful here. I'm subtracting a negative number. So that is x2 minus an x1. So it's a minus a minus. in my formula, I get negative 2 minus 4 is negative 6, but 8 minus a minus 4 is 8 plus 4, that's 12. And if I simplify this, I'm going to leave it as a fraction. I know it's got to be negative, and I can cancel a factor of 6. So this is a little bit different. First of all, the number is negative, but if you look at the actual equation itself, that makes sense. The previous example, the line was going up, and it was a positive number. This line is traveling downward, and that's why the value in front of here is negative. Now, this whole rise over run idea. So it's not really rise. The negative means, okay, it's moving downward. But if we start at this point here, if we go over 2, that's the run, and down 1, we end up on the graph again. So it's over 2, down 1, over 2, down 1. That happens for every pair of points on this graph. So, I mean, really, if you knew that at the very beginning, you really could have just said, okay, well, if I use this point, I know it's dropping downward, so the answer has to be negative. It goes over 2, that's going to be the denominator, and down 1, that 1's going to go in the numerator, and you get your answer this way as well. It will be nice to have a formula for slope for some things that we're going to do in the future here, but for now, you could really just use the graph to count over up or down, and then verify your work by using this formula.